Has this ever happened to you?
This is the female version of incels.
This is what mental illness looks like.
Stop tooting your dog.
Making your cat call you mom must have a monster ego. You're in complete denial and delusion.
Very strange and unnatural.
Damn, her toes look edible. ASL?
So this is what it's like to put yourself online. And some people are really good at it. They can just brush it right off. That's not me. It took me 4 years to learn how to deal with this. I am very sensitive to criticism. I hate feeling misunderstood. And some of these comments are right. I'm very mentally ill. Thank you for noticing. But over time, I learned how to stop letting this ruin my life. And that is what I want to share today. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the mom of Justin Bieber the talking cat who uses these buttons to communicate. It turns out this makes people really angry. They spend a lot of time trying to debunk what's happening and also just generally think that I've lost it, which, like, valid. But a single well-phrased hate comment would genuinely ruin my day. I would screenshot it and send it to friends and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they said this. It was so bad that there were long periods of time where I completely abandoned my social media accounts. If you've followed me for a while, then you know. But it was interfering with my ability to do my day job. And when I looked for advice, I heard the same tropes over and over. It's free engagement on your post. If you have haters, that means you've made it. Don't feed the trolls. Just ignore them. Maybe just don't read the comments. None of which helped, because it didn't matter how objectively wrong I knew that a comment was. It was still sending my nervous system into fight or flight. And not reading the comments wasn't practical, because the entire point of running an account is to connect with people. It's the only thing that makes it feel worth it. And I started to feel like it was a personal failing, that I just couldn't get over it. I felt like I was the only one struggling this bad because people don't tend to talk about it. And I started to come to the conclusion that I just didn't have the right personality for this. I just wasn't cut out for it. But here's what I've come to realize. Dealing with hate comments is a learned skill, and it has nothing to do with toughening up. I'm still very sensitive, but I can read hate comments now and feel genuinely unaffected. I can just go about my day, which is really nice, it turns out. Huge caveat that this advice is coming from my personal experience, and the hate that I receive is going to look different from yours. I'm also white. I get a lot of misogyny, but the personal attacks tend to stop there. I don't want to invalidate anybody else's experience, and I want to recognize that our experiences might look really different. My other disclaimer is that this advice is not intended as like a get-out-of-jail-free card if you are doing genuine harm. I feel like that goes without saying. But caveats aside, using what I do know, I want to try to save you 4 years of misery. Here's everything that I needed to hear back then. So we need to start with validation. Your reaction is normal. It is normal to care what people think about you, and it's normal to get upset when people are mad at you. Like, of course your nervous system is reacting. My brain doesn't care that they live in my phone. It doesn't know the difference. Our whole deal as humans is living in groups. It is beneficial to avoid conflict, and historically those groups have been really small. And I can take the feedback of my family and my friends and I can incorporate it into my life because ideally that feedback is coming from a good place of knowing me and loving me. But we were never meant to have this many eyes on us. And if we're getting hit with feedback from like 100 different strangers, and that feedback is also conflicting, and it's also really mean, our brain doesn't know what to do with that. It doesn't know how to prioritize it. It doesn't know if it's real feedback or not. And so your nervous system is like, red alert. We have an emergency. Everybody in the world is really mad at us. You are having a natural human reaction. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean you need to toughen up. We just need to reframe what's happening. Because here's the thing, and I know that you know this up here, but we're gonna try to make you feel it in here. Hate comments have nothing to do with you. On a viral video, 90% of the people commenting have never seen you before in their life. Because that's how the algorithm works. It shows your video to strangers, and if they like it, it shows it to more strangers, and so on and so forth. Your actual followers make up a really small percentage of your audience these days. Gosh, and I wonder why the internet feels so toxic all of a sudden. But that means for most commenters, this is the only context they have of you. They don't know your background, they don't know your story, they're going off of 30 seconds of footage. And I know that because the comments that I get on a video of the same subject will vary dramatically based on the context. One of my first viral videos was this one.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Now. Now what? Bye bye.
And the comments looked like this. This stressed me out. I felt like I threw my boyfriend to the wolves. And like we had just started dating. Here's another video that I posted a few weeks later. And the comments looked like this. Like, oh, now you like him? What if I told you that was the same person? But they have a different 30 seconds of context, and they came to a different conclusion. Stressful. The internet was a mistake. Now I know what you're thinking. If I can just make the perfect video with all of the right context, nobody will ever be mad at me. Wrong! This is when I entered my over-explaining era. I thought that I could get ahead of hate comments if I just explained myself perfectly. I thought that I could prove to people that I'm not faking the buttons if I provided enough evidence. It turns out people don't care, like, at all. So I'm boo-boo the fool for that one. You are not a real person to them. It is digital road rage. You are a concept onto which they can project all of their feelings and frustrations. I don't know if you've noticed, but people are generally not doing well. Like, we are kind of collectively struggling. And if somebody is having a bad enough day to lash out in the comments section of an Instagram video, it's not going well for them. And again, I know that you have tried telling yourself that, but let me cook, okay? I need to paint a comprehensive picture. I think that another thing that especially us millennials and older have trouble understanding, commenters are often literally not talking to you. People enjoy riffing in the comment sections of viral videos, and they don't actually think that you're gonna read it. It's like a game. It's like a roast. Speaking of the youths, I think that it's also really important that we remember that we don't know who's behind the screen. And in a lot of cases, it is literal children. God forbid if I find out that I was beefing with like an unparented 13-year-old. That kid doesn't need to be yelled at. He needs a parent. I know that this is your life and it feels really personal, but for most people, it's genuinely not that deep. They're just scrolling by and shouting out the window at anything that triggers an insecurity for them. And that insecurity says nothing about you or the content that you make. Here's how I really started to believe this. It was comments like this.
You're the owner and that is your pet. It's just a useless creature to take care of.
People have gotten mad at me for loving my cat, for having a cat at all. I foster kittens sometimes, and I follow Hannah Shaw, otherwise known as the Kitten Lady, and she posts educational videos on how to take care of neonatal kittens. And she posted once on Instagram about all of the hate that she receives. And that changed my brain chemistry. Because for some reason, I didn't even consider that somebody like Hannah could get hate. Because it was like, what is there to be mad at? She's taking care of a kitten. And that was what made me realize I was holding a really deep set belief that the hate comments were my fault, that I had done something to deserve them, and by extension, that I could do something to avoid them. If I was just more likable, this wouldn't happen to me, and people would know that my intentions are good. So here's the next lesson. Hate comments are not a moral failure. You do not avoid them by being virtuous or good. And it is, in fact, sometimes your kindness that causes people to be mad at you. We have been taught that if someone is mad at us, it's because we did something wrong. But there are, in fact, many people out there who we want to disagree with us. I do not want people who hold harmful beliefs to agree with me. I'm glad that they don't like me. If they agreed with me, that would say something really bad about me. We are posting to the sea of the general public. And if you are creating content that is so neutral and palatable as to be accepted by every person that sees it, that is a path that will strip you of your humanity. You are a person, you have likes and dislikes and opinions and interests, and you have something to share with the world. If you want to help anybody, the other side of that equation is that people who don't want to be helped are gonna disagree with you. I think it's a really nasty trick that negative comments hold so much more weight than positive ones. Everybody used to tell me to focus on the positive, look at how many people support your work. And it's true, I get way more positive comments than negative ones. But unfortunately, when somebody says something that alarms your nervous system, that tends to stick a little more than somebody being like, cute cat. I needed to learn how to disregard the negative comments in order to fully appreciate the good ones. And while you're learning to do that, I highly recommend screenshotting your positive comments and saving them in a folder. And you need to read those puppies. You need to go back and read them. And for the love of God, do not do what I did and screenshot the hate comments. It came in handy for making this video because I had a folder of them. But we have to feel really centered in what we are doing and confident that we are posting with a positive purpose. I need you to find your anchor, because here's my next lesson. I don't know how to phrase this any better, so this is kind of dumb phrasing, but focus on your mission. This sounds so cheesy and corporate, but I literally wrote down a code of conduct for myself, and it's been so helpful. I'll give you an example of things that I wrote if you promise not to make fun of me. Actually, I don't care if you make fun of me because I'm good at that now. Engage with positivity to beget more positivity. Benefit of the doubt. Educate, educate, educate. A little snark is okay. You are human and have a personality. Thank you for saying that. I've been trying to let my personality shine through a little more. Admit mistakes and gaps in knowledge because we're all in this journey together. Look at that. But I also picked a role model, and I picked Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus.
Seatbelts, everyone!
Because she's kooky and she has wacky outfits and she's like jazzed about learning and education. And when I feel conflicted, I think, what would Miss Frizzle do? Because I need you to create distance between the idea of you that's being attacked online and yourself. And ironically, doing so has allowed me to be more vulnerable and more myself than I've ever been online because I'm not watering myself down anymore to avoid hate. Things really changed for me when I stopped thinking of this as my personal account and started thinking of myself as almost a comment moderator. My job is to protect my audience, and it really helped me get out of my own feelings to start thinking about running a safe community. If somebody's in my comments like,
If you have this in your house, prepare for no friends and a psych evaluation, you sad, sad person.
I don't want my audience to see that. I don't want them to have a bad day. I want them to have a good day. And it sort of gamifies it because now when I delete it, I feel accomplished. Like, nice, I caught that one before anybody saw it. Now that I've had more experience, I realized that I really only get the same 5 comments over and over. These are my categories, okay? You're gonna have your own. The buttons are fake.
There's no way he's a blend to identity, all these. I feel this is placebo on us.
The buttons are real, but you're doing them wrong.
When you have communication devices for your pets, you need to actually listen.
Misogyny.
Your partner? You mean your boyfriend before marriage?
Bad cat mom.
Release your cats. They are not happy trapped in a cage. Imagine if someone didn't let you go outside. You were literally making your cats have a depressing life. You were so mean.
And unhinged.
Checkered floor? This is Illuminati.
And now, instead of getting like a ton of hate comments, I'm really only getting 5. Like, come on, I knew that already. Give me something new. It really helps to treat this like a job. Clock in, clock out, have set hours, and for the love of God, don't check your phone before bed. And before you log on, ask yourself, am I feeling centered? And if you're not, don't log on. All right, we've talked about our feelings enough. Let's talk about strategy. What do you actually do when you get a hate comment? So first we have to define a hate comment. I've gotten a lot of what I thought were hate comments that turned out to be boomers. You know those texts you get from your parents or your grandparents where you're like, that is not what that emoji means? But also for a bunch of commenters, English is not their first language, and words and tone can all get jumbled up and be really easy to misread, especially if you're feeling defensive. So if it seems like somebody might be coming from a genuine place of confusion, I always love to try to educate when possible. Killing them with kindness can sometimes be a strategy to prevent further comments of the same genre. Unfortunately, it's kind of rare to get an opportunity to use this strategy, and you will also find that there are certain categories that just are never worth responding to. For my account, it's the button naysayers. I have learned that they are not actually interested in debating the buttons. They just want to tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, so edge cases aside, it's an actual hate comment. What do I do? There was a really long period of time where I tried clapping back. Being snarky got a positive response from my audience, and it felt good. I felt like I'd won, I made them look stupid, and I was like, this approach will give me agency. You know, you don't get to talk to me like that and get away with it. But I found that in reality, it was actually giving the comment way more visibility on like multiple levels. Logistically, when a creator responds to a comment, it boosts it near the top, so more people are seeing it. And then your audience will come to your defense and kind of dogpile, and then the original commenter feels justified in their anger and they get defensive, and then the next thing you know, you log on and your notifications look like this. I'm basically giving my brain more opportunities to store this comment in my long-term memory. And I already gave it energy trying to craft the perfect zinger. I have also tried trying to reason with hate comments and just ignoring them. And unfortunately, those both have the same effect. Because when somebody's being aggro, I find that they're just looking for an excuse to fight no matter how you reply. And when you don't respond, usually the same thing happens where your audience comes to your defense. And then once again, you log on and your comment section has turned into garbage. And the more that these people are allowed to have access to you and your space, the more that I worry about escalation. I have seen creators in my community get threats, and that is something I'm really trying to avoid. So people can yell at me about censorship, but in my experience, blocking and deleting hate comments is the safest approach for everybody involved. And it has the added benefit that I don't have time to dwell on the comment anymore. I don't even finish reading it. It's just gone. And I know what you're thinking, again, because I'm psychic. This doesn't mean we have to be on our phones monitoring all the time. You will see it when a comment gets nasty. Posts that have a lot of controversy tend to draw more controversy. And I don't know if that's the algorithm or if people feel emboldened, but I try to prevent that by doing the opposite and just responding to as many positive comments as I can. And I found that by doing so, you can start to prune the comments section and shape it the way you want. And now you're thinking, what about the engagement? I think I'm going to make another video on virality and why it's actually really bad for your account. But the long and short of it is that you want the right audience members. I promise you, nothing good has ever come from chasing virality, especially if your method to get there is controversy. Both Instagram and TikTok have safety tools to help with comments as well. I'm doing a little tutorial over here. You can pause and rewind, but the most helpful feature that they both have is their keyword filtering. You can create custom keywords lists that'll block out certain words, and once you've identified your 5 comments, you start to learn certain words and phrases to watch out for. I have found that using these features has pretty dramatically reduced my hate comments, especially as I expand the lists over time. I would be remiss to talk about all of this without talking about the importance of a support network. This stuff can really mess with your self-esteem. It is really, really important to have a group of people who know you and love you and who remind you that you are indeed a good person and not an evil cat torturer. And for me, a big part of that support was therapy. In my case, I also really needed medication. And I know that our healthcare system is a flaming pile of garbage, but if you are able, a lot of this stuff ties really deeply to our self-worth and to our ability to regulate when we get upset. My system was all out of whack and I needed tools. And I want to leave you with this encouragement. The people who love what you do, the ones who support you and see you for who you really are, they are the reflection of you. When you put goodness into the world, you will get goodness reflected back. And over time, you're going to build your community and find your people. And one day you're going to wake up and find that everything else is just background noise. Thank you so much. If you watch this whole thing, Justin gives you a kiss. It has to be metaphorical because he's sleeping right now and waking him up would be rude. You're also contractually obligated to listen to my Patreon pitch. It is a secret cat club with bonus content. I post cat shenanigans of the week. You can see the full footage of Finn licking this yogurt bottle weirdly. And you get exclusive access to our private Discord channel. That made it sound scandalous, but maybe it is. I want to provide high quality content while reducing the need for ads, and that means asking you to support your local radio station. That's me. I'm your radio station. You know the other ways to help. You have to subscribe, turn on notifications, and you have to leave me a comment. I love comments. I always try to respond. Don't leave me a hate comment. You know what I'll do with it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a good day, and just to be clear,
Damn, her toes look edible.
special thanks to my friends at the Monsters Playbook for their voiceovers this week. You should check out their podcast. It's an actual play Monster of the Week RPG set in Minnesota. And Mike would be really sad if I didn't credit him for his voiceovers as well. I'm sorry I made you the villain of the internet for a week.
This is what mental illness looks like. This is what mental illness looks like.